Hi, my dear ones. This is Maria. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to share a practice with you around how to manifest a wish that you have. So, this is almost like a lesson in practical magic. This works amazing. That's why I'm not even afraid of calling it magic. This is energy alchemy. This is a practice that I have used to manifest more than one thing in my life. Granted, I would say, although this would work for any kind of wish that you have, I would initially test it out if I were you on either a smaller wish or something that's medium sized. So maybe don't try to manifest like a large 6-bedroom home, you know. Maybe that's not the easiest. Like start small. Because with alchemy and with energy work, I noticed that the more you have confidence in yourself that you can make things happen for yourself, you can start creating and manifesting bigger and bigger things for you. This practice works. I mean, obviously, I have a whole book about manifestation. This practice is not in the book. This is above and beyond something that, I personally love. I do this, I work on things all the time. If it's like a medium, now the timing on manifestation is going to be different. Last time I used this practice on a wish that I had this wish. It was actually let's say like a particular metric around downloads for my podcast. To be very honest. And I was trying to manifest a particular number of downloads in one day. Like there's just this thing that I had. I'm like, I must get this many downloads in a day to feel good about life. And, it took me some time to get to that number until I started using this practice. And when I started using this particular exercise, within 10 days, I got that within 10 days. I'm just saying, it's very powerful. Okay, really quickly. First things first, you have to get extreme clarity on what you want. I find that's where a lot of people fail right there, this step, right? We just don't have extreme clarity. We're like, oh, we just want to feel better. Or we just want like a little bit more of this and a little bit less of that. But we're not being very specific. And the universe is extremely specific. Unless you are very specific with the universe, it's going to give you a poor approximation of what you want. I don't know. For example, wanting more time could mean getting into a hospital because you broke a leg and you have more time for the things that you like to do. I don't know, like reading or something you can do out of the bed. Do you know what I mean? We have to be specific with the universe. So first things first, get really, really specific about what you want. Second, the game of manifestation is a game of lifelines. A lifeline is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It is a linear projection of you at this point in time. If nothing changed about your personal energy, then there would be like an end game of the outcome of this life. So essentially, if we're in point A right now, there is a logical point Z somewhere in the future of if nothing changed about Maria, this is where Maria would end up when she's old and gray or when she's about to die, if you know what I mean. So these are lifelines. Now, of course, as we are evolving, as we are going through experiences, very often we would migrate from one lifeline to the other, right? We're jumping lifelines quite a lot, actually. Very often when you're trying to manifest anything, you would be jumping lifelines quite a lot, right? So essentially what this means is it may be that, let's say I want, what could I possibly, like, what would be like a good example? Let's say I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. Let's say that was my goal. The lifeline that I'm on right now may or may not have that as a possible outcome for me, right? Because technically the lifeline that I'm on right now is already kind of predetermined, right? So if I want to be like a New York Times bestselling author, then I will have to either bring the aspect, let's say like my wish, let's say that the wish of becoming a best-selling author was a sphere of golden light, because it kind of is. Spoiler alert, right? Either I'm going to have to bring this wish into the lifeline that I'm living, or I'm going to have to shuffle around multiple lifelines that are available to me and find the one where becoming a New York Times bestselling author is like a logical outcome of where I am today. Both in the quantum universe are possible. You can go either of these routes. However, let's say I like everything about my life. Let's say I like the partner that I'm with, I like my job, I like my friends, I like my income, all of the good stuff. But I have a wish, right? Then, technically speaking, it wouldn't make much sense for me to scratch all of that and try to look for another lifeline if I'm kind of happy with mine, or I know I'm roughly on track, but I just have this one wish, right? What I'm saying is it's easier for you to bring that wish into your current lifeline instead of trying to shuffle around and find the lifeline that where this is possible. Make sure that everything on that lifeline is kosher and you love it. And also then you're going to have to anchor that lifeline, which is like a whole other set of magic. That is not Magic 101. This that we're going to talk about today is a lot easier. So, first, get clear on the wish. Second, get into a meditative zone. And now I'm going to walk you through this practice. Now you can tag along. You can do it as we're going to speak and as I'm going to share. Or you can memorize the practice and just do it later, because this is not going to be technically a guided meditation. This is going to be a semi-guided experience where I reserve the right to give comments along the way so you understand what's happening, right? Because I have very little interest in giving you the fish instead of teaching you how to fish, right? Because, what I can share with you today could be the codes that you need to open up whole fields within the Akashic realm, right? So who am I to take that away from you by just giving you one single fish? And so that's why I prefer to give you comments around like why this works and why, we need to do one thing versus the other. So here, you would close your eyes, right? If you're trying to manifest a wish. You would see the lifeline that you're living stretching out right in front of you. So it's almost like you become this baby human, and right in front of you, you would almost see yourself standing on a road. Because unbeknownst to us, this is exactly what's happening. We are all traveling down a path. And until we change that, it is the path, right? Next thing you want to do is you want to imagine that you're holding or you're calling in an orb of energy, of golden energy, that contains your wish inside, whatever that wish is, right? No right or wrong. Maybe you just want a dog. Maybe you want to make enough money to donate to a particular cause. It doesn't really matter. There are no wrong wishes outside of maybe harming others, right? But I do hope that you're going to use this for good. That is my intention, that you use this practice to make the world a better place, not to make it a worse place. Okay. So you would call in that sphere of energy that would represent your wish. In this particular case, in the example that I gave you, becoming the New York Times bestselling author. And you would almost take it from ether, from the universe, right? You attracted it to yourself. The next thing you need to do is you need to align that wish and almost place it on your lifeline. This is the step number one, right? Now, all of a sudden, this wish, it's almost like this globule of light, this orb, is plucked into the lifeline of yours. So you pluck it in and you take a step back, right? Because now we plucked it in, but we plucked it in somewhere in the future, right? So as it relates to where you're standing, that little sphere needs to be plucked in somewhere in the future, right? So first, we're making it possible by bringing it into our own universe, if you will. Step number 2, make a copy of that thing, right? So let's use that thing that the little sphere, the little orb that you encrusted and you put into the road. Let's use that as a marker. Almost like if there was like a little flag that said, hey, this is where the goal is, right? Like waving at us, right? So let's put a stake in the ground and say, okay, this is the end goal. This is the flag. And then we would go back and look in front of us, right? There would be, unless you already have that thing that you want, you would notice that there is space between you and your goal, or you and your wish. If it's really far away, then darling, you're probably manifesting something really, really big. If it's very close to you, that means that it's actually something that is within your vicinity and that is, about to happen very, very soon, right? That's the good news. Either way, this practice works. Step number 2. Now, I know you just planted the orb, but we're going to take a copy of that one, and we're going to hold it in our hands, etheric hands, obviously, in your mind's eye. The next thing that you need to do is you need to make this wish denser. Matter that has taken shape and form. What I'm saying is, whatever you materialize has density. Whatever is already materialized in the physical has density, right? Wouldn't you agree? Compared to a thought or a feeling, an apple has more weight because you can hold it and, it has actual weight. If you drop it, it drops because there is gravity. The reason a lot of thoughts don't become reality is because thoughts are not dense enough to become physical. So essentially, any game of manifestation or making a wish come true comes down to making a lighter form more dense. Here's how you do that. Very simple, the game of multiplication. You would take this wish, it's a globule of golden light, and you would make a copy. So duplicate it. When you duplicated it, bring the two together, fuse them. You would notice that it became, this thought form, this wish of yours, just became heavier. Then you want to do the same thing again. Remember, this is already twice the density. Now you're going to multiply or copy or duplicate this sphere that is double the density. You duplicate that. Essentially, you have 2x density here and 2x density here. And then you fuse them again. All of a sudden, it's 4x density. So essentially, you need to go through rounds of multiplying, creating a carbon copy, so to say, of something and fusing them together. Multiplying the orb, so there are 2, fusing them. Multiplying, fusing. If you do this 10 to 20 times, between 10 and 20, I recommend the more the better, frankly, but don't overdo it, obviously. Don't spend an hour multiplying your things. At one point, your orb is going to feel fairly heavy. You're going to feel like in your mind's eye, in a meditation state, you guys, you're going to feel like whatever you're holding actually is heavy. And that is roughly when it's enough. And it generally happens, if you were doing a good job, it would generally happen between 10 and 20 times. And then, I kid you not, it's kind of hilarious, but it works, so bear with me for this practice. You're going to play bowling. Do you know how on a bowling alley, there is an alley, kind of like your lifeline, and then you have to let the ball roll? This is exactly what you're going to do. Imagine the target that you're trying to hit is that flag that we planted in front of us. You're going to roll the ball. And most likely, the very likely outcome is your ball is not going to be able to hit the target. In other words, it's not going to have enough momentum to even roll or go as far as that wish of yours. It's not going to have enough momentum. Arguably, if it had enough momentum, you wouldn't have to be trying to manifest that wish so hard, right? Very often, that first try, you're not going to be able to roll the orb close enough to that target or beyond the target. Because if you can just throw this ball and it rolls beyond the target, that means that, it's like a piece of cake. And essentially your job is done here. But most of you, 95% something percent of you are going to have the opposite happen. You're going to roll the ball with all its density of your wish, and it's going to stop somewhere between you and your target. This is where what that tells you is you don't have enough energy. So your thought form or your wish is dense enough, but you don't have enough energy to roll it all the way. So this is where you're going to want to use an external source of energy. What can you use? You can use the sun. You can use any of the planets that you have a good relationship with. You can ask your ancestors for help. You can ask your totem animals or spirit animals. You can ask any of your spirit guides. You can ask your higher self or your middle self. Yeah, or your soul family. All of those are really, really good options. So essentially, you need other sources of power from the outside because you don't have enough of your own. And so here's what you would, let's say I invited my higher self for this exercise. By the way, you can invite more than one. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start, I'm going to imagine myself holding the orb. My higher self is going to place her hands right above my hand. So she's going to do this, right? So it's almost like she's hugging the bowl and placing her palms over her hands over my hands, right? And she is going to transfer her power towards the ball. And I would as well. And so essentially we both would focus for a few seconds on powering the ball, right? The way, essentially what needs to happen, it's almost like, what I want you to think about is that we need an impulse. An impulse is like an electricity. So when you're getting an external source of energy, such as your higher self, to help you out, essentially what you need to do is you need to ask your higher self, whatever your guide is, to almost send the lightning of their energy to activate the ball, right? And it's literally going to feel like they're sending electricity down to the ball through the hands, right? And at some point, if there is enough energy that has come through, your ball, your orb is going to start buzzing. It needs to start buzzing, and it's going to feel charged, like electricity just hit it. When that happens, you roll the ball, right? So the ball is dense and the ball is charged. Those are the two things that ball or that orb needs to be in order for you to manifest reality or your wish. If there has been enough momentum, what you're going to see is the ball hits the target. And then very often it would even, go through and go past. It's totally cool. Like if your ball reached the target and went, even into the future, that means that you're getting what you want and even more. So don't you worry, child. This is all good. This is exactly what we need, right? So you do that. And essentially your job is done for this practice. You're going to have to do the same practice again for 7 days. By the way, I know I've been explaining it for quite a long time. It really takes 5 minutes to do this. So if you really want your wish, probably worth it. So you want to do this. Next time that you come, here are the steps that you would need to do next day. You would need to take your thought form, your wish. First, add density to it, right? So multiply, fuse, multiply, fuse, multiply, fuse. You may even, by the way, when you do the copy paste of it, you may create multiple copies. If I'm getting lazy, I may create like 20 copies and then I fuse all 20. The world's your oyster. You're not, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, right? It's my job to explain to you, what you need and how I would do it. And then it's your job to adapt it to the wonderful being that you are, right? So I'm just here to offer you the possibilities, and it's up to you to do the rest. Okay, so that's that. So you made the orb dense, and then the next thing that you need to do, again, invite your higher self or whoever to help charge the wish, right? So again, they're giving you energy, they're giving their energy, you're giving your energy, right? The ball starts buzzing, you shoot. If you're not able to hit the target and it still stops before the target, that means you need more help. So invite other beings to help you. invite planets, invite whomever would come to help you charge the orb. Okay. All right, so I know this was a little esoteric, you guys, but if you do this for 7 days straight, and this is not like the realm of like, I want to win the lottery type of wish, I guarantee you're going to get very close to materializing it, like in the next cycle of materialization, which is within 30 days. If that didn't happen within 30 days, do this one more time. Do the full cycle of 7 repetitions of this one more time. Sometimes wishes are larger, they're bigger, and so they require a little bit more energy. But 100% of you have the capacity to do this. It is real, you guys. I tested it. It works like magic. All of the things that I described here are, some of the theory is in my book, 72 Keys to Abundance, An Ancient Path of a Modern Day Alchemist. The book is on Amazon. I think you should get it because it does explain a lot about external sources of energy. It does have a lot about the multiplication principle, although it doesn't have this practice. And it's almost like this practice is the outcome almost of all the learnings in the book. And so if you want to dive deeper, if you want to manifest things that are larger and bigger and massive, if you want to manifest on planetary level, check out the book. You're really going to thank me later. Okay, I hope this made sense. Feel free to ask me questions. If this wasn't clear, I will do my best to get back to you. And let me know how this goes. Let me know what you're manifesting. And, also if you have success with this, do share in the comments. I appreciate your comments so much. And that's it. And if you have any friends that need to manifest something really cool, have a wish that they would like to come true, send them this video. And then they'll thank you later. Alrighty, my dear ones, I'll see you in the next one.